to Egypt and the keenness of President Sisi to receive him and to hold such important talks at this very particular time?
Well, it is really a very important visit because Rwanda is a very important country, and President Kagame have already made a significant importance in the reform of the African Union and the relations between Rwanda and Egypt within the context of the COMESA, also within the context of the African Union under the umbrella of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. So there is a huge importance of the strengthening the African relations, and especially the Rwandese and the Egyptian, because there is a lot of important issues that could be done in cooperation between both countries, but also within the whole umbrella of COMESA, as Egypt is chairing now the COMESA, and there is a lot of issues with reference to increasing our intra-Africa trade in COMESA, with reference to investment in the infrastructure that President Sisi has already emphasized several times, with reference to investment in the energy and renewable energy, and Egypt will be hosting the COP27, so it is a very important actually investment for renewable energy. The intra-Africa trade within the African continent is less than 16%, which really make it, there is a huge potential under the Africa Continental Free Trade Area to see how we can strengthen those relations. Especially Rwanda is a land-linked actually country, not landlocked, but land-linked country with several countries around it. So any investment in Rwanda and bilateral relation with Rwanda will open new opportunities for the market within COMESA region and within the whole region, in order to really promote our African integration, promote our intra-Africa trade, open new markets for the Egyptian industries, and also open new markets for investment, especially that the enabling environment for investment in Rwanda is huge, and it's a huge cooperation with reference to how Egypt could play a leader role within the COMESA region and within the African continent.
Dr. Amani, today the President discussed a number of important issues. Part of them, yes, indeed, were the economic cooperation and how both countries would work together for for boosting bilateral relations, particularly in economic cooperation, and for the African continent at large. Also, they spoke about two important issues, whereas the Rwandan president confirmed confirmed Egypt's rights in the water issue. Also, they spoke about the COP27 and how Egypt is preparing for the upcoming COP27 and the climate change challenges that face the whole African Union, as well as the security and stability of the African continent at large. If we speak about preparation for the COP27 and how important such preparation would be, and how such significant coordination and consultation between both countries would really come to the benefit of such preparations?
Well, it is very important because last week, as also I attended in Rwanda, the Africa Regional Forum for Sustainable Development, and we were talking about climate change. And as COP27 will be hosted in Egypt, representing Africa for this very important meeting, and what is the role of Africa actually, as they are the least who are producing pollution or producing the carbon emission, and we are only receiving the impact of this global warming and the impact of the climate change. What can Africa do? How do we really, this very important meeting of the COP27, how the member states would do, but also the private sector and the civil society organizations. The private sector have a huge role with reference to investment in renewable energy and investment in order to really lower any carbon emission coming from the African continent, and the mitigation of the risks of climate change with reference to scientific research. That is why very important to link the scientific research institution in Egypt and how we can export our scientific expertise with reference to the mitigation of the risks of the climate change, and also what is the role of the private sector in this, how we can really, because it is really affecting everybody, it's affecting the agriculture, the health, the whole global warming. We have seen the droughts in the east of Africa. We have seen a lot of change in the climate. So climate justice is a must for Africa. So it is very important to coordinate the efforts and to promote the advocacy with reference to how we mitigate the risk of the climate change, to invest in renewable energy, and also to invest in, for instance, with agriculture, in more crops that it is resistant to higher temperature. We have seen how the global climate change is affecting all of us in different areas. So the coordination mechanism between the two presidents and between the heads of states of Africa is very important. And with COP27, we are, as Africa Business Council, we will be organizing a big meeting around the COP27 for the role of the private sector in investment in green economy and renewable energy, because green economy is very important for the lessening of the carbon emission and to increase the role of Africa within this field.
Dr. Amani, finally here, if I may ask you about Egypt's pivotal role in representing Africa in all the international forums and working for the challenges, or representing or being the mouthpiece of the African challenges in or the African continent in speaking out their challenges.
Well, as actually Egypt is playing its pivotal role, and that coordinates the efforts of our African private sector, of our African continent, and to see how we can, as I mentioned, give the best practices and all our expertise to our African sisters and brothers across the continent, and to see how we represent Africa on the international arena. Like the COP27 is hosted in Egypt on behalf of Africa. So how are we going to organize it? What are the recommendations that we are going to lobby and advocate for it as Africa? How can Egypt play its role with reference to getting the recommendations that Africa will need in order to see how it is the big industrial countries that are responsible about this carbon emission and this global warming? So how can Africa really be compensated? How can Africa play its role to make sure that this is not it's affecting us with the drought, affecting us with the agricultural, with the global warming, it's affecting our African people. So Egypt has a big role actually to play in coordinating our positions as African heads of states, and in coordinating the mechanisms and the methodology and the recommendation that is needed to mitigate all the risks of the climate change.
Right, Dr. Amani Asfour, Chairperson of the African Business Council, thank you so much for being with us and for your input here. And now we move on.